Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. We're back. We're doing the thing. I'm a little amped up because we just did a 2-hour morning show over on Chris's channel, the Daily Atheist Morning Show, where we've been taking over Monday mornings recently. We were talking about cults and MLMs, and now we're going to talk about something even worse: propaganda. Specifically, and by request from Ryan, who may pop in possibly because she requested it, Prager U. Yes, it's true. Prager U, the company so evil that they're being promoted by the current U.S. Department of Education and being inserted into schools and whatnot. And what could possibly go wrong? As you may have heard, their founder, owner, and head money funneler guy from the Koch brothers, Dennis Prager, has been in the hospital for several months. So we're going to check in on what the channel has been doing while he's been away. I'm sure it's fine and perfectly patriotic or something. I'm already joined by Miss Kelly King, the atheist queen of Detroit. How are you, Your Majesty?
First, I don't know how long I'm going to be on here today because I'm kind of tired, but I'm doing okay.
Fair.
I'm doing okay. This is Prager U. I watch Forrest's stuff. He talks about them a little bit. So I'm like, ugh. Why do people fall for, I don't know, whatever. But I'm here to learn some stuff and to see what they're all about. And, I know they're not crap. But I didn't even know they're trying, the Board of Education is now trying to use their curriculum or the outline. I didn't even know that. That's something new. I didn't
They're
even know.
getting into more and more schools. I mean, before the current administration, they were already in a couple of states, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, plus most of the money they make is from selling homeschool curriculum. Now, to be clear, not everything they make is propaganda. There's a veneer of legitimacy on some of the stuff that they do, which makes the other stuff a little more palatable. And we're going to see, I tried to get a selection, a range, if you will. So we're going to start with one of the things that is probably the least objectionable, although most hilarious coming from them, but whatever, we will get into it. But we do have a selection today, and it's going to get a little wild. So do stick around. If you're joining us for the first time, hello. It's lovely to see you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, because we do a bunch of shows here at a bunch of different times. The bell, it doesn't guarantee notifications, unfortunately, but it does help. And I very much appreciate it. So, yes.
Wow.
And well, I see a bunch of familiar faces. My good friend Mark Reed, whom will be joining me this Saturday for our debate reviews. Every week we go back and forth, my channel, his channel. This week we're going to be over here. We're not quite sure what we're covering yet, but it will be fun. So make sure you join us for that. Sapphic Hazard, hello, hello. They have segments on how systemic racism is fake, or how Christopher Columbus was a swell guy. They are outright pro anti-white genocide. Pro-white anti. It's fine. It's as Brent says, it's all propaganda. Propaganda doesn't have to be false. That's an excellent point. Sometimes it's true, and sometimes it makes the stuff that's false a little more believable, sort of. Ian Davenport, hello, hello. Deviant Outcast, Eric Wander, anybody I may have missed, but hello to all of you fine folks. It's lovely to see you. You being here in the live chats is why we do live shows. And I am also joined by Lil of all trades, the mother of demons herself, Lilith. How are you this fine Monday?
I'm okay. It was a super early morning. I think I got another 2 hours in me. So
it's pretty rough. I mean, especially I don't stay up as late as Maya does, because my Sunday show is like a pre-show for Maya's show, but staying up late and then getting up extra early to do double live streams, I'm like, Ember, you are a crazy person. So I get it. But if you want to help Ember, not die or something, I found a new button. First of all, should be pinned in the chat. There's a link to help many community members who are in trouble, myself, but also Bree and Cosmic Kyle and Lena, who are all in difficult straits for various reasons. So there's a page with links to help everybody. But if you want to feed Ember specifically, we've got QR codes now for some reason. It's a feature they installed, but we have things for both of them. This is a very tiny one, but it's there. This is for helping our friends, and this is for, sending Ember stuff. But there's a bunch of different ways you can send Ember stuff. Ooh, I can do this and just take over half the screen. That's fine. Yeah. I'm playing with my toys. Don't mind me.
And if you want to play with
a lot of features in this thing.
You want to play with your toys? Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Go to Adam and Eve. Type in Brentley for the code.
Exactly. If you want to play with your toys, go to adamandeve.com and enter code word Brentley at checkout for 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. What? Not sponsored. We're not sponsored. That does not help support the channel, but it is funny. So I stole it because I'm a pirate. Avast ye lubbers. My goodness. I'm going to run out of coffee before we run out of show, because I don't get a break between shows. I should have left the other show earlier and taken one to refill my coffee, but I did not, because it's very early. And
that's what I'm like. I need some coffee. I haven't had none yet, and I need some coffee.
I know. It's so much. But you know what else is Prager U content.
Prager U.
So much. Oh no, Hellbilly says a discount on the whole order. Damn it. How dare you come in here? No, we love it. We love it. Oh, that kind of reminds me. I've added more backgrounds too. We can this will be for Feminist Friday, probably. But I'm gonna keep the Starscape for today because I freaking love the Starscape. If it loads back up. Anyway, Prager stuff. I'm totally not having an ADHD. I'm not focus, Ember.
Not at all.
Be in the moment, do the thing. Okay, let's go.
It's no exaggeration to say that the modern civil rights movement began with the 1954 Supreme Court decision of Brown v. Board of Education.
That actually is a bit of an exaggeration because it's just flat out not true. The Brown v. Board of Education happened because there was already a civil rights movement. Because if there weren't people campaigning for civil rights, so I'm sure our friendly host here is going to clarify, but for anyone who hasn't heard, Brown versus Board of Education was very, very summarized. People should have the right to equal schooling regardless of their freaking skin color.
Yeah.
Very, very summarized. But yeah, the fact that was a case that made it to the Supreme Court strongly implies that the civil rights effort was well underway by that point. So we're already lying. I love it.
That the case reached the court was a testament to a nation's desire to correct a long-standing injustice, and at the same time an indictment for allowing the injustice to have existed for so long.
Well, yes, but also no. Remember that injustice was there by design. It wasn't an accident. There were Jim Crow laws. It wasn't an accident that brown and black people of color were deliberately disadvantaged economically. It wasn't an accident the U.S. military blew up black infrastructure every time African American people tried to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. If you haven't heard, you need to learn about the firebombing of Tulsa. There's a bunch of other things, but the firebombing of Tulsa is a really, really obvious one. But we're not going to get into that today because I'm trying to keep the tangents to something of a minimum.
Though the Union victory in the Civil War freed Black Americans from slavery, it did not free them from racism. Southern Democrats soon imposed Jim Crow laws to deny Black...
Notice how he stresses Democrats rather than conservative. Because it's so funny how they love to pin Democrats. Remember, during the Civil War, everyone was Democrats. Like it was Lincoln and like three other people were the entire Republican Party. You know, it was the Northern Democrats versus Southern Democrats. Yes, the Southern Democrats were pro-slavery, but the Northern Democrats were anti-slavery. That's why there was a freaking war. But no, they go, oh, it's Democrats, it's Democrats. But when you try to take down the statues of the Civil War generals, they go, oh, it's our heritage. But you're a Republican, and you're so busy pinning all this on Democrats. What do you mean? Because they're playing fucking games.
I saw a video a couple days ago that someone was asking a Trump supporter about like Thursday, blah blah blah, and it got up to statues down a couple years ago. Republicans. No. And it's just like the guy could not wrap his head around that the Republicans were not the super, like, that they were not the party that wanted to take those down. It was just like, it was crazy. They will bend themselves into knots, and it's because that will get those talking points in their head, understanding the deeper history behind it, that the parties pretty much switch positions on.
Well, it's also religious thinking, right? That's why there's such a huge crossover between the evangelical movement and the modern Republicans, because, you know, everything good that happens is because of God, and everything bad that happens is because of human free will. It's a built-in bias. So, like, when you ask them, Who did the lockdowns? They might say Obama, they might say Biden. It was Trump. It happened in 2020 while Trump was president. But they can't say that. When you want to talk about, the war is breaking out or the nuclear treaty or anything, all the bad things that have happened under Republican presidents, 9/11, they try to blame Obama, even though it was George W. Bush. Like, every bad thing is the Democrats' fault, regardless of the fact that every single time it's a Republican in office with a Republican Congress and a Republican court and et cetera, but no, it's the Democrats' fault. And every single good thing that we have in the United States, what passes for good things anymore, was put in place by fucking progressives, if not standard corporate Democrats. I mean, I really dislike the Democrats as well, but at least they're not actively trying to kill half of the country. That's something in their favor, I suppose.
I mean, neither is good, but worse than the other. Like, that's just all there is to it. So, and Prager U has
it's a complicated.
Prager U has some Recovery Institute too, which I cannot stand.
To the Who Institute?
So, Discovery Institute, much intelligent design crap. They're the ones who are trying to get the intelligent design into schools.
They're one of the groups doing the intelligent design crap. They tried to
one of them, but they're
they're the ones who got caught with that famous document where they tried to do the find and replace, changing creationists to intelligent design advocates, and they ended up with seed design. How did it come out? Seed design. It's not super important. The point is, they like proponentsists. I love it. It's just, so it's their pants are down. They also published a document called the Wedge document, which you can look up if you really want to. Forrest Vellick went on a fun rant about it, but I was talking about it for ages because it's public information. They got caught with this document where it explicitly says they're trying to get creationism into classrooms as a step on undermining American democracy and instituting a theocracy in the United States. Undermining education is just the first step. And that's their explicit goal. All this intelligent design bullshit, it's just code switching for creationism for the purpose of making Americans dumb enough they can try to shove a theocracy down our throats. And they denied this document for years and years and years until finally their director, Stephen, came out and said, okay, yes, we issued the document, but you're taking it out of context. Fucking hell. There's no bottom to this barrel. It's just, it's lies all the way down. Neurogeezer says lying for Jesus, irreducibly complex. Oh, shit.
Americans the right to vote and to segregate them from whites.
What's that?
I was going to say, speaking of Discovery Institute, the forerunner to the book in the lawsuit on intelligent design, where it's the pandas and people, I actually had that book my 9th class.
Amazing. This shit's been
my biology.
So, Prager U, it isn't the start of this shit getting into classrooms. There's been a lot of this crap for ages. Remember, private schools. There's a few different kinds. There's the church schools. There's the rich people schools. There's a few different things. But remember, the fact they exist is because of Brown versus Board education. Because once it became mandatory to integrate the brown people into the white people schools, the rich people said, nope, we're not going to have our kids educated alongside brown people. We're building our own schools. So that's why those things even exist.
After large numbers of Black Americans served in both world wars, especially in World War II, social and
the Civil War and the War of 1812 and the Revolution, never mind.
Material equality for white and Black citizens was far from a reality. For example, schools across the nation were, for the most part, segregated by race. These segregation policies had found their legal
and sex. That's a separate topic, but it's worth noting. every school building everywhere in the country that was built prior to 1954 has a separate entrance for boys and girls.
Refuge in the infamous 1896 Supreme Court decision, Plessy v. Ferguson, which created the doctrine of separate but equal. That was the legal theory. It was rarely the practice. Black schools were almost always inferior. That was still true in the late 1940s and early 19th.
And it's still true today.
I'll say the same thing.
While the situation, it's less overt, you have less cases where like kids are bused 19 miles away to go to a different colored school or whatever. Now it's regional, like say for example Harlem Elementary, basically not funded, but the Upper West Side, and yes, I'm picking on New York City here, all the money, for example.
Yeah. And then you want to talk
and
about
outrage.
Most of the inner schools have security and metal detectors. When you go way out to the other area, they don't have metal detectors. And what does most of the mass shootings happen? I'll rest my case. But, that's crazy. Even that, that shows the diversity in there too.
Yeah. And that's intentional as well. It's often pitched as, oh, there's gangs. We need to stop gang violence. But really, it's broken window theory in practice, which if you don't know, it's a term from sociology where the idea is if you have a broken window on a street and nobody fixes it, then people start to think that crime is okay here because no one's taking care of anything. And so crime will escalate. Whereas if you do fix it, then the potential criminals know someone's watching, someone cares, and there will be less crime. It's not the best theory, but it's one way to conceptualize the idea of doing something about your neighborhood to make things better. And we see that in practice in schools. If you go to a school that's full of cops and metal detectors and shit, that's basically a prison, you're going to think, hey, I'm in prison. I'm being treated like a criminal. And maybe you're going to act a little bit more like a criminal. Possibly. AJ is joining us. Hello, AJ. How are you? I'm going to be right back. I have to turn off the heater because I'm melting.
I haven't seen you in ages.
Oh, yeah.
So long since we've seen each other.
I know. It's been forever. How are you doing?
I can't wait till we see each other again in person, though. We had a great time, me and AJ. I can't wait till I meet you, too, Leo. That'll be great.
Yeah. Might actually be up that way sometime within the next year. We'll see.
But we are going to have to invade Seattle once you get there.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yes. We will have to find something to do to hang out in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I tried finding groups, like secular groups, but I didn't find any.
I mean, I'm sure there's people. It's just, I don't know if they have like formal groups or whatever, but I'm like trying to think of
Did
how
you go meet up and see?
Like I have friends in British Columbia. I just need to get across the damn border, which is proving very difficult.
Yeah, hopefully me and Jess will be able to hang out this weekend. We'll see.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I want to make Jess too.
Yeah,
we need more parties and more group gathering things.
For sure. Such.
Yeah.
Once or twice a year is not enough.
Especially considering people can only come to some things, right? Like I met Kelly in Kentucky at the ARC protest, and you met Kelly at NanoCon, and like we didn't get to meet because we were at different events.
Yeah.
This is Pixie that hasn't, or the one dog that hasn't gotten the introduction.
Oh,
Pixie.
Hello, sweetie. Hello. See, come here, sugar. I know I'm
she's a sweetheart. She's my old.
Come on, Smudge. You getting jealous? Because I'm like, oh, cute. And my baby, like, wait, I'm the cute one in the family. You are.
Yeah, she's
like Smudge.
Old me when though. She's like 10 or 11.
You can spoil your butt.
And she doesn't take. And she does not tolerate Kit, like, at all. She's just like, nope, you're not going to do that.
Yes,
here.
you did, Bree.
Kip's like 5 times her son. Watching Pixie where I'd be like, no! It's just like, okay.
You know that don't mean nothing. You did love life.
Yeah, we love it. We love the puppers. Pet time. Isn't it interesting that,
Well, now
like,
you have
I
metal
realize
free.
there's a rule of the internet that whenever a pet appears, you have to make them full screen, and that's fine. I get it. It's wonderful. But, like, when you try to do a video about pets, if that's not what your channel does, then people just don't watch it. It's weird, you know, because, like, when it's live, must show pets, but when it's not, no one can, unless it's like a cat playing piano. Apparently, that's one of the best videos of all time or something. I don't know. It's no Chocolate Rain, but it is pretty good.
Many fair-minded
I should change our size here so we can see what our friend is doing.
people. One of those people was Thurgood Marshall, the founder of the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. That Plessy had to be confronted, Marshall had no doubt. Whether the country was ready for such an assault was the issue. For
More propaganda note. Pay attention to the loaded language, calling this an assault, as in the status quo is good and the change is inherently violent. It's just a little bit of flavor, but it's a thing that you see intentionally. Remember, the person doing the presenting, he's a professor of law. He chooses his words with care and intention. This is not an accident. It's deliberately inserted.
several years, he waited for the right opportunity to present itself. It came in 1951, when Marshall found a group of black parents from Topeka, Kansas, who were ready and willing to challenge their local school board's policy of racial segregation.
This is an important note also. It has nothing to do with the propaganda part, but how our legal system works in the United States. When any law is unjust, it doesn't automatically face any kind of rigorous scrutiny. It simply is in force until someone withstanding, meaning they're directly affected by the law, has both the means and the willingness to challenge the law, meaning they can afford to fight it and have the desire to do so, which is one of the reasons that extremely bad laws stay on the books for a long period of time.
At the heart of this action was Linda Brown, a young girl forced to attend a racially segregated school 24 blocks from her home, despite living near a whites-only school. Brown, Marshall argued before the court, was being deprived of her constitutional rights. He based his argument on the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. That clause, ratified soon after the Civil War, declared that no state may deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
That's an important note, too, because that's come under some controversy in recent decades. Like when it says any person cannot be denied equal protection of the laws. Well, what do you mean by person? Do you mean citizen? Do we have to give due process rights to non-citizens? Well, it says person, not citizen, doesn't it? Or when you're referring to things that are like sex segregated, like in a lot of cases, there is a separate but equal opportunity for people of the other sex, whatever that means in that context. But that would fail the same segregation test as Brown versus Education for the same reason. But no one has successfully challenged it because, again, laws have to be challenged by people who can afford to do the challenging. And that is a little tricky sometimes. But also, like, what do you do with a situation? The law says you cannot be denied equal protection under the laws, regardless of your personal characteristics. Unlike many modern laws, this doesn't posit specific protected characteristics. You can't discriminate based on religion or ethnicity or national origin or whatever. This just says no person shall be denied equal protection of the laws. And that's
there are some comments in the comments in the chat that are correct, that it says that it does apply to even illegal immigrants according to the Constitution. So
yeah, because it says person, not citizen.
That has been the interpretation for a very long time. Sumami says non-citizens are already afforded due process under the Constitution. The reason I bring it up is because of the recent efforts by the current administration to say that non-citizens aren't guaranteed due process. What with the whole deporting people to El Salvador fiasco, where we're sending actual citizens because there's no due process to determine who should be shipped out and who shouldn't, and all of this nonsense. Because without due process, how can you tell who is a citizen? That's the reason I bring that up. It's like officially non-citizens are already afforded due process, but in practice we're ignoring the Constitution these days. We don't really care.
They're using it to wipe their ass pretty much.
And on a similar note, Neurogeezer points out corporations are persons under another Supreme Court law. People aren't people, but corporations are, which affects other laws, right? Like corporations are subject to equal rights protections, but certain groups of human beings are not. So what does it mean to say you cannot deny rights to any person within the jurisdiction? What does person mean?
Yeah.
Segregated schools, Marshall insisted.
Fact for any other history nerds out there, Brown versus Board of Education was not the only lawsuit. There were about 7 of them that were rolled into one to go to the Supreme Court. Suits that were in different jurisdictions to go to the court, fighting it all over the place. Yeah,
that's a very common thing.
That's just a little bit of history.
Yeah. A lot of the modern civil rights cases that you'll see, I'm thinking of like the Tennessee case about whether parents have the right to make medical decisions for their children when the state tries to ban necessary medical care. Can the state do that? Do the parents have the right to make the decision with the doctors? All that sort of stuff. While I forget the name on the case, I think Skirmetti, but there were actually there were multiple cases underneath that overall heading. And yeah, they do that a lot to show that it's not just a one-off, but there's lots of people being represented and affected by these things.
I know there was one in, I want to say it was South Carolina. There was one in Georgia. Yeah, there were. So it was a big to the court and try to get that to the Supreme Court to rule on it.
Clearly violated that clause and were thus unconstitutional. The Supreme Court initially heard the case at the end of 1952. Had it reached a decision that year, it likely would have been a very close vote. That changed dramatically when President Dwight Eisenhower appointed Earl Warren, the Republican governor of California, as the new chief.
Notice pointing out Republican, which is true. But this was before the party shift. So whenever it favors them, they're going to go, look, this hero of civil rights was a Republican. But they won't in more modern stuff. Like, oh, it's fucking disgusting. But this is the more subtle stuff. This is one of their most academically and historically accurate videos on their channel. And we're still seeing pretty decent sized red flags of propaganda content.
Yeah.
Chief Justice in 1953. Warren strongly favored abolishing segregation in public schools and was determined that the decision be unanimous.
Activist judges! Like, they just made a big deal out of the fact he's a Republican, so Republicans should get to take credit for this. And then they bring out the same thing they've been campaigning about since the 80s. We got to stop these activist judges. Wowzers.
If it wasn't, he thought, segregationists could use the dissenting opinions as an excuse for delaying desegregation.
And that is a valid point, is if it weren't unanimous, the dissenting opinion, we see this in other cases. We always have. Even though the majority opinion becomes the precedent, the way the law is interpreted by other courts, people will use dissenting opinions to back their play and make a case for like, okay, well, yes, it's true the law says this, but we need time to shift over. And depending on what the dissenting opinion says, they can build credence for it. Like we saw a lot of the Jim Crow stuff didn't end after Brown versus Board of Education, even though there weren't dissenting opinions.
Warren got his way. In May 1954, the court unanimously decided in favor of Brown. Writing for the court, Warren declared that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. The era of Plessy was no more. The decision's
Legally.
Yeah, legally. That's a good distinction.
Uh-huh.
historic significance was immediately apparent. Charles Johnson, the president of Fisk University, proclaimed, "If segregation is unconstitutional in educational institutions, it is no less so in other aspects of our national life." Brown mattered not only legally, but also morally and socially. It acknowledged the inherent dignity of all children and affirmed that quality education, the great equalizer, cannot be compromised.
Except for when, never mind. It's a huge tangent, but it did signify in that general direction. There's very, very little that ever happens in history where one thing actually changes everything. It can change the momentum of many other things. It can influence many other things, but it's not like a light switch and suddenly racism was over, you know?
Yeah.
However, not everyone, including some in the Black community, believed the court had fully thought through the ramifications of its decision.
Now, here's another one I want to point out. There were dissenters in the public, and he's making a point of saying, including some in the Black community. Why does he say that? Why does he feel the need to point out there were some Black people who thought so too? I wonder why he's not pointing out some in the Middle Eastern community, some in the Chinese community, some in the white community. No, some in the Black community. He wants to call attention to that group specifically. I wonder why that could be. Because he's trying to add legitimacy to the bullshit he's about to say.
Was immediate integration the most effective way forward? Would a more gradual approach be less socially disruptive?
Ah, yes, the
Socially
disruption. We
disruptive.
mustn't move too quickly. It'll shock something.
Disrupt the socials.
Yeah, our adults can't handle rapid change. They're
No.
grown-ups who live in a world that, mind you, was within their lifetimes. The people who were alive at that time had gone from horse and buggy to electric automobile to freaking intercontinental airliners and atomic bombs. And we were working on a freaking space program. But no, this rapid change is too much for people.
And
Would such an approach lessen the hostility that Black
drives
students...
me nuts. Drives me nuts that the people who are sitting there saying like, "Oh, it too fast us for because we needed to listen to social." They always also want to sit there and claim that it's for the sake of the children. Dude, if you put 25 kids in the yard to go play, they're not paying attention to what they're going out there and playing with their friends.
Now, I'll let you finish.
But they always try to disrupt the children. No, it's not. Perhaps.
Yeah,
You need to
they're
get over
about
it.
to get into that. That's the direction they're aiming is,
Yeah.
well, if you make, poor little Ruby go to the white school, she'll be the only Black girl there, and they'll all harass her and tease her because we've raised them to be little racists.
would almost certainly encounter in predominantly white schools. The court rejected this incrementalist thinking. Racial integration could not be delayed. Resistance to the decision was fierce, especially in the South. Local and state officials declared they would openly oppose school integration. In September 1957, Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus ordered Arkansas's National Guard to prevent 9 Black...
Notice we're not pointing out
I was about to
that
say, what party
governor's
was
party
it?
affiliation.
What
Curiously.
was this party again? I don't think I...
Yeah, I didn't catch it either. Let's find out, shall we? Orville Faubus. Let's see. Orville Faubus, governor of Arkansas. Let's see here. Died in 1994. Okay, cool. American politician, 36th governor of Arkansas. It's okay. He was a member of the Democratic Party, apparently. It's interesting that they don't.
Was
point
this
out.
before FDR?
Yeah.
He was governor from, it was after FDR,
or not
1955
FDR.
to 1967.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some all around. It don't really matter. If you're an a-hole, you're an a-hole, no matter what party you're part of.
Two-term governor. He ran in 1936 for an Arkansas House of Representatives seat, which he lost. He wrote a book. Buy my DVDs. Let's see. He cultivated ties with the Arkansas Democratic Party, particularly with progressive reform governor Sid McMath, who wrote the post-war GI Revolt Against Corruption, under whom he served as director of the state's Highway Commission. Meanwhile, conservative Francis Cherry defeated McMath in a bid for a third term. In the 1952 Democratic primary, Cherry became unpopular with voters, and Faubus challenged him in 1954. Cool. But right, Little Rock crisis. Here we go. He used the Arkansas National Guard to stop African Americans from attending Little Rock Central High as part of the federally ordered racial desegregation. And he was involved in Brown versus Board of Education. Schools were inherently unequal, motivated by considerations for political gain. The ensuing battle helped to shield him from political fallout from a tax increase. A Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist portrayed the fight over Central High School as a crisis manufactured by the governor. Ashmore said that Faubus used the Guard to help keep blacks out of Central High School because he was frustrated by the success his political opponents were having in using segregationist rhetoric to arouse white voters. So he was a Democrat who did racist things because he was frustrated that the conservatives were doing racist things.
Make it make sense.
What?
Yeah.
Confused.
And he ended up in a showdown with, the video will get to this. He wound up in a showdown with President Dwight D. Eisenhower. They're about to cover that, so we'll just go back to the video.
Ordered Arkansas's National Guard to prevent 9 black students, the Little Rock Nine, from entering the town's Central High School. A mob joined the Guard in blocking their entry. President Eisenhower responded by sending the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division to protect the students. Despite these challenges, the momentum Brown generated could not be stopped. As Charles Johnson anticipated, Brown's declaration of racial equality reverberated through the legal system. While Brown only dealt with segregation in public schools, courts applied it in case after case to desegregate other public settings, such as beaches, golf courses, and buses.
Now, that's an important note, and this is where a lot of the rage against activist judges comes from, is because courts will take the closest relevant precedent. Like, if a thing about golf courses hasn't been decided by the Supreme Court, they can take a principle from Brown versus Board of Education and apply it, because if people have a problem with it, they can challenge that ruling, and then the Supreme Court will weigh in on that specific issue if they feel it's relevant. Yeah, that's how precedent works. It doesn't necessarily stay in the lane that it was originally intended for, which is one of the reasons it's so important for the Supreme Court justices to weigh the consequences and likely fallout. You will never figure out all the consequences of your actions, but the reason we want the best constitutional scholars is because they have the best chance of foreseeing the likely outcomes of the decisions they make, the ramifications of the way they write their opinions and so forth. It will affect other things.
All this laid the foundation for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Now, that's a little bit of a mischaracterization. While it did lend some steam to the Civil Rights Act, once again, civil rights was already a thing people were campaigning for, and it was specifically separate things that weren't being, like they mentioned buses. There's a reason they mentioned buses. It's because one of the main things, one of the highlights of the civil rights activism campaign was the Freedom Riders, right? Like Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. And all of there was a lot to do with buses, where Brown versus Board of Education was specifically not being applied. And so it was very clear that more steps were necessary, more demonstrations, more protests, more activism. We needed politicians who would actually do something, because fighting through the courts it doesn't solve everything.
Lay the foundation for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. We take for granted now that government-imposed segregation is a thing of the past, but we should not forget that Brown made it possible.
We should point out government-imposed segregation is not actually a thing of the past. Now, while the regressives, the reactionaries among us will point at DEI as emblematic of racism in the present, because it's taking people of minority groups and helping them get into opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise had under the old, very racist and misogynist systems. But the thing of it is they're looking at it through a backwards lens. It's like when you hold binoculars upside down and the image gets smaller instead of bigger, because DEI programs diversity, equity, and inclusion. They aren't giving preferential treatment to minority candidates. What they're doing is removing the preferential treatment given to white cis male candidates, which is causing more diversity, which is the point.
And the one thing that needs to be addressed is that even though when they started, because my mom, she was, went to school in the 50s and the 60s. And even though when they did integrate the schools, she was given like the oldest textbook that she could use and the different activities that she would be able to do was different than the white students. So it even stayed it was, they were separate still, even when they went to the same school.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it is still today is bare minimum. It's what we can get away with and still be in compliance. And even then, there's places like Oklahoma where they go way the hell past the line intentionally and saying you don't like it, challenge us in court if you can afford it.
Texas does that a lot.
Yeah.
They
The
follow
Bible.
Oklahoma. Every time
it's
Oklahoma does
bad.
something, Texas is next.
Well, we love everybody.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's the Christian way or
It's the
something.
Christian way.
Yeah.
What would
I'm Sharif
Jesus
Girgis,
do?
Associate Professor of Law at the University of Notre Dame.
Okay, he's Associate Professor of Law. Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Professor, for being mostly factual in that one. Only a little bit of intentional deception. But even so, videos like this, which seem to be mostly factual, they lend credence to the other content on the channel. People will see this and be like, well, what's wrong with that video? I mean, a couple of things could have been phrased more accurately or phrased better, but it's only a 5-minute video. So they're not going to get everything like textbook perfect, yada, yada, yada. Never mind the intentional deceptions in a few places. And I'm sure I didn't even catch all of them. But people will see that and be like, that looks generally fine. It's great. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see other stuff like this, which I'll bigify again. This is Dinesh D'Souza, whom you may know from debating against people like Matt Dillahunty and Christopher Hitchens, but and Alex O'Connor, but also is famous for a conspiracy theory movie. What was it? 2,000 Mules, 20,000
And I need
Mules,
to find
something
something to throw because I'm gonna want to throw something. I hate Dinesh D'Souza. I cannot.
I'm glad I've never heard of him.
He's special. He's so among other things.
Yeah, consider he's
yeah, I'm so glad.
Ian Davenport's like, I'm out. Now this is a clip of a longer live stream because they featured him quite extensively. And Dinesh, he's gone to prison for lying about things. Like he is an actual criminal who lies about things as a profession, in addition to being an apologist, which is sort of redundant. He's lying about things as a profession. And so he's on this Prager U live stream to lie about fascism.
Whoa.
Amazing.
Wow.
No.
How lovely.
That's like my.
Oh, well, you'll
That's my area.
You're gonna love this. Now we're not going to go through this whole thing because even though it's a clip, it's still 15 minutes, and we have another video. But I will real quick pause to remind everyone why, when apologists talk, people tend to leave the damn room.
It was actually a tremendous blessing to these children for them to be killed and go to heaven and be with God.
Carl, that kills people.
I have a problem with this stuff being normalized across the spectrum, and specifically, like, why push this on kids? Why introduce this to kids?
I want to be ignorant, honestly.
If God is not good, then guess what? We are all absolutely screwed.
Stop letting people pressure you into thinking.
I need more clips for that. I'd like that thing to be like 3 minutes long-ish, maybe 2.5. But I mean, it's well on its way. It's definitely getting up there. I'm always looking for more clips to put in there. So if you come across any, let me know. It'd be pretty fun. Anyway, Dinesh, what could possibly go wrong?
The big lie is the transposition in the meaning of fascism and Nazism.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
What? Nothing at all.
Yeah.
No, okay. On its surface, there's nothing wrong with that first sentence. The big lie, parentheses, unspoken parenthetical, that I am about to tell you, close parentheses, is the transposition of the definition of fascism and Nazism. Mm-hmm. Eric Wander points out that Trump pardoned D'Souza, which, totally makes him innocent or something.
The original fascism.
Admit you did it.
He pardons all the best people.
All the best people. Mm-hmm.
Especially the one January 6th. Those
What?
great people there.
Right.
Exactly.
Mhm. They're back behind bars for
A big
different
chunk
things.
of them. It's freaking
Yeah,
crazy.
no, a lot of
It's a
them,
whole
yes.
other thing.
Was a phenomenon of the political left. It was.
Yes, that's it. Let's rewind since we interrupted that sentence a couple of times.
The original fascism was a phenomenon of the political left.
And now we're just straight. The second fucking sentence, he's just bald-faced lying. Let's see if he can justify that claim.
It was anti-capitalist. It was explicitly socialist, and hence the name Nazi, which is essentially a compression of National Socialism. And this was.
So yeah, that's before you could just rack it up to him just being really fucking dumb.
Yeah.
But when people make that thing, oh, well, the Nazis were leftists because look at their name, nationalist socialists. As Hitler put in his book, right in his publicly available printed book, he picked the name to make people think they were leftist instead of the very strong right-wing extremists that they actually were. It's the same thing as North Korea being called the People's Democratic Republic. Is North Korea a democratic republic run by the people? When fascists, this is a hallmark of fascism, when they name shit, they tend to name it the exact opposite of what it actually is because they can't stop lying all the time.
Yeah. And if you look back with the Nazis, the after were the political left. The people they went after as soon as they got any bit, because then they couldn't be opposed.
Yeah, the Nazis had Night of the Long Knives. I forget what they called it in Italy, but purges upon purges upon purges. The first thing fascists do, just like in modern day United States, is purge the government of everyone who not only is the other team, but isn't a loyalist on your team. The professionals, the non-politicos, the bureaucrats, the competent academics, purge all of them. You need to have only loyalists. That's another hallmark of fascism.
Yep.
wasn't just Hitler using the term, because the Nazis have, which you can look it up online, a 25-point platform, which they campaigned on. This was their platform. And their platform, if you read it, it's very clear. It's state control of the banks, state control of industry, state control of education, state control of the churches, state.
That's called fascism.
Yes, he's explaining what the Nazi platform is. But here's the thing. Have you seen this thing called Christian dominionism? Seven Mountains dominionism.
Oh, yeah.
It's an extreme, for anybody who doesn't know, it's the thing behind Project 2025. It's the ideology behind the Heritage Foundation and the many, many billionaires who are dumping money into trying to remake the United States into a cultural hegemony with Christianity as not just the pinnacle, but only the pinnacle of one of the mountains. There's 7 mountains. There's education, there's entertainment, there's economy, there's the various things. And one of them is religion. They're using evangelical Christianity. They're saying it's to build up Christianity for the glory of Jesus and yada, yada, but it's just one of the levers of control. The ultimate goal is control, and they will do whatever they need to do it. It's exactly the same thing. Control of the economy, control of religion, control of entertainment. This is the fascist playbook and always has been. It's what we're trying to do now. And the last time I checked the Project 2025 tracker, it's like 38% complete. Because the good news, if you want to call it good news, is that fascists are, because of their purges and their insistence on loyalty, fundamentally incompetent people. Their governments do not work well. They tend to fail and fall down, and a lot of people get hurt, but less people get hurt than would be getting hurt if they did run as efficiently as they could. For example, look at how many people were exterminated in Mussolini's Italy versus Hitler's Germany. Germany still did not run at maximum efficiency, but they were a hell of a lot more efficient than any other attempted fascist government in probably in history. Stalin may be close, but Stalin was not fascist. He was a different thing.
Yeah.
He was just
numbers on the Nazi efficiency are staggering when you, I mean, it's absurd. It's just it's staggering how
Randy.
This is scary.
Randy points out pretending the Nazis were left wing is outright deception. It is. It's literally, again, from Hitler's playbook. It's the big lie. You just say the lie straight out, full chested, 10 toes on the ground, all the other things that people say. You just say it and you just keep saying it. And the people who are loyalists will believe you. Because that's how fascism works, is you believe the lie coming from your guy. And everybody else, you gaslight everyone else. They're like, oh, when it was just Dinesh saying that the Nazis were left-wing, I thought he was a crazy, lying, convicted felon. But now, like, Grandpa is saying it, and Uncle Bob is saying it, and my brother is saying it, and maybe I'm the crazy person. That's how the big lie works, is you just keep repeating it, and the more voices repeat it, the more it gaslights everyone else. Well, maybe we always were at war with East Asia, and we're always allied with Eurasia. Maybe the party's right, and I'm just having a Mandela effect, you know? That's what that does. That's how that works.
Control of the media. So you go down this list and you go, does this sound more like Donald Trump, or does it sound more like, let's say, Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders? And the answer is, it sounds exactly like Bernie Sanders. It's the left.
That's so offensive. Like,
I'm like, wow. Everything sound like Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders.
That really,
He's not honestly answering the question. He's telling you what you're supposed to think to follow along the party lines. This is the politically correct.
Yeah, so you want to hate
where
this guy now?
What's that?
I said, you see why I hate this guy?
I mean, he's not just dumb, but he's dangerously dumb. And he's dumb in a dangerous way, but whatever. That's shoot, what was I it'll probably come back to me.
Left-wing agenda.
Sorry.
So the Nazis the fascists, which is Mussolini in Italy, they saw themselves as on the left. The critics of fascism also saw them as being on the left. Everybody.
No, I mean,
Nah,
I
President
don't.
Trump, everybody.
I know, like what the
That's another key of fascism is they just declare things. Political correctness. That's what I was saying. What we call political correctness today, using the appropriate terms for people, that's not what political correctness originally meant. The original version of political correctness was when Mussolini says the trains run on time. If you say the trains are late, you're going against the official word from the head honcho. You become an enemy of the state. If you point out that the 4:30 train hasn't arrived at 4:45, you are an enemy of the state and will be shot for it. That's fascism in action. That's what political correctness meant. You didn't say what was true. You said what you had to say to not get shot, even though everyone knew it was false. That's where that came from. That's what that means. And that's what we're getting back to. We haven't reached the point of openly shooting people for going against what Der Fuhrer says, but we are on the fucking way.
Recognize that this was a phenomenon of the left. However, after World War II, when fascism and Nazism became completely discredited, people saw the starving, emaciated figures coming out of the concentration camps. You could not defend fascism or Nazism anymore. The progressive intellectuals who don't.
And yet, here's Dinesh doing exactly that. There's entire channels.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of money defending exactly that. That's what we're doing. That's what republicanism has become.
Dominated American academia and also the emerging intellectual classes of Europe. They all realized that their own views were suspiciously close to those of Mussolini and not all that far from those of Hitler. And so they realized.
No, they already knew. This is one of the reasons that fascism demonizes the intelligentsia, the academics. You know, it's the same anti-intellectual rhetoric we got from Trump as we were getting from Mussolini and Hitler. Don't trust the scholars. They will lie to you to preserve their own power or yada, yada, yada. You know, did child sex ring in the basement of a pizza parlor, whatever the case may be. I, the common man, who have been convicted of 34 felonies and multiple sexual assaults and things, I would never lie to you. You're my people. You know, I'm just like you, except rich and evil, but details. It's the same thing. The academics knew. They saw the danger. They talked about the danger until they were chased the hell out of the country. And in some places, they just straight up murdered them, but never mind that. And now we're doing the same thing. The experts on fascism specifically have already left the US because all of the warning signs are there. We're a long way down the road already. Many academics who aren't specialists in fascism but know better are doing the same. People who are likely to be the victims of purges of various kinds are already doing the same.
5 or 6 scholars of fascism that have left the country. My former boss and former I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, actually, ironically, in Germany. Like, yeah, he's like, yeah, we're done. I don't know, but apparently most of his program at the university got cut. So he's just like, yeah, I'm done, and left. So it's happening all over the place, including the ones that, including the scholars who aren't like well known or known outside of their field. It's happened to everybody in academia.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying the scholars need to speak up and speak out and get loud and do science communication to counter assholes like Dinesh and other people who are just shouting into the void or whatever. But it's not It's not their specialty. It's not what they do. People like Dinesh are trained to lie to the public. If you are trained to use a microscope, that's not the same set of skills. Like, it'd be great to have more academics and specialists and scientists and stuff communicating to the extent of their abilities. But really, we need science communicators whose training and specialty is in communicating the fact to counter the bullshit. And that's where we come in. And we're so glad to have you here.
But it's
Guys, we
funny.
have to sort of.
But
What's
it's funny, even as a Christian, some of this stuff that they're talking about, I didn't believe that. And that's what really gets me. Because when you look at how they take the say somebody rich and you work for somebody, and then they'll say, oh, the poor people are paying taxes for the poor people, that's taking your money. You don't think about the fact this organization don't pay you a living wage anyway. And then they say, well, the immigrants are taking your jobs and everything. But then you're not looking at the fact that the companies are giving them the jobs because they don't want to pay you the living wage. I don't understand it. But even as a Christian, I never understood that.
Yeah, it's a feedback loop of false consequences and shit.
Redefine fascism and Nazism to remove our association with it. And so what they basically did is they said, fascism is not what you thought it was. It's not an economic agenda. It's not about any of this. Fascism simply means militarism and nationalism. Now, first of all,
well, no, that's first of all, it's Dinesh and his cohort who are trying to redefine it, because we've known what it is for 100 years now. But I digress. No one is trying to recreate. This is like a straw man of a straw man. Like, nobody's saying it's just militarism. What do you mean? Like, we can anybody can look this shit up. Like, let's do it right now. Fascism definition on the Googles. All right.
Yeah, like it's
yeah, let's go with Merriam-Webster. That's a good one. Okay. A populist political philosophy, movement, or regime, pardon the ads making the screen jump around on us, that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, and that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition.
There you go. That part.
Does it sound familiar at all to anybody?
Just a little bit.
Fucking
I
hell.
can't think who it applies to.
Paul, there are militaries all over the world, right? The Chinese have a military. Genghis Khan had a military. Genghis Khan wasn't a fascist. And if you say that fascism is nationalism,
no, Genghis Khan, he existed a little before fascism was conceptualized as a thing. Like, he was a totalitarian ruler. Fun fact I learned about the Khans. I forget which Khan, but one of the Khans famously had a thing that the Greeks called the Sword of Mars, that apparently fulfilled prophecy showing that the invading horde was led by the chosen of Mars, and also verifying that their pantheon of gods was real. Because how could he be fulfilling a prophecy of the prophets of Mars if Mars weren't real? So, yeah.
I think you have to look at who's making the claim. Like, who specifically made that claim. Oh my god, this guy has the Sword of Mars. That guy could tell you everything you need to know.
It's baffling. Like, there's more proof in the historical record of gods that everyone agrees are mythological than there is of the gods people are claiming are literal, but whatever.
that doesn't make any sense either. Gandhi was a nationalist. He wasn't a fascist, right? You've got all kinds of figures who are Mandela.
I'm not entirely sure about Gandhi, but it's true. Being a nationalist does not automatically mean you're a fascist. That comes with certain other things. He's so like Mark said, he's bafflingly stupid because he's saying, well, oranges have seeds, but oranges aren't apples. Who
You know
said they
what?
were, bud?
You know what he reminds
What do
me
you
of?
mean?
He reminded me of somebody who has crafted all this political point, but has regurgitated it so low his own Kool-Aid.
But how?
The crap they use.
I'm confused. How can you compare Gandhi to like Hitler? Because Gandhi was trying to fight for the freedom of India against the British regime. So I'm confused with that. It's not the same to me.
No,
they were
it's
trying to
very
take
much not the
control
same.
over one, and the other were trying to get control away from her. It's a total opposite to me. Even though Gandhi had some things about his life that's questionable too, but that's not even, we're not talking about that.
Well, Dinesh is, breathtakingly stupid, but there are similarities. India was under a government that Gandhi did not like. The Weimar Republic was a government that the Nazis did not like. The fact that India was under a different nation's government is almost coincidental in the comparison.
Yeah, I guess I can see. Yeah, that makes a point. Yeah.
Like that was Hitler's entire thing when he was campaigning, is the Treaty of Versailles is crippling our nation. We've already had many of our brothers and sisters in the Czech Republic and in Hungary and in half of Poland and so forth have been torn away from us as a political entity. We can't be in family with them as a united nation. And also our economy is being destroyed by the terms of this foreign treaty being imposed on us, yada, yada, yada. It's all the foreigners. It's all the foreigners. They're fucking us over. We need to fight back and reclaim our homeland. It's exactly the same kind of rhetoric, at least that far.
So then would... Oh, go ahead, Lil.
Go ahead.
So would they consider like the Black Panther part of that? Trying to take,
No,
or
the
like
Black Panthers are an entirely different thing.
Okay. I was trying to think of like they were trying to take, rule over. Okay, go ahead, Lil.
Yeah.
One thing you'll also notice with apologists are talking about like, oh, the Nazis were this, blah, blah, blah. They will always compare, they tend to do this, they'll tend to compare Hitler to somebody who could be semi-controversial in some respects or amongst some groups of people. Well, it's not comparable, blah, blah, blah. One, can't directly compare anyone to Hitler. I mean, I can't even necessarily do that. But they also, if you notice carefully what they're trying to lessen what Hitler actually did. What he actually did is worse than most people know. So much worse, because people don't want to look into terrible stuff, and it's some terrible history, but they will always try to do that, and always, I don't want to say rehabilitate him, but maybe make him not look quite so bad on a few issues. And it drives me insane that they do that.
Yeah, anytime you want to draw a legitimate comparison between Hitler and a real-world contemporary, they use that as an attempt at over-the-top hyperbole demonization when it's often an actual accurate comparison. It's one of the reasons they leave the memory of Hitler as like the most evil man in history alone, except when they're railing about atheists. And then they'll be like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, Germany was mostly Catholic, but Stalin was an atheist. He was worse.
Yeah. Was it Owen Morgan, this thing? He was trying to debunk. A lot of people were saying that Hitler was atheist too.
He wasn't.
We know that.
If the quote, if I remember it off the top of my exactly, sorry, it's been so long since I've seen it, but it says make no mistake, the Nazi movement is a Christian movement. Take, basically saying like they don't take people degrading Christianity lightly. The Nazi movement is a Christian movement. Yeah, that was they actually on their had stuff that said God with us. So yeah, it was not an atheist thing. Like you can go check, and they still say this kind of shit.
I know Bree talked
It's-
about it on her channel
It's
as well.
separate from the fascism thing, but yes, it was a 1928 speech. Hitler said, translated because he spoke German, "We tolerate no one in our ranks who attacks the ideas of Christianity. Our movement is Christian."
Yeah.
Oh,
that's it.
Bree's here. Okay, yeah. But she talked on her channel about how Hitler and the Pope at the time had a treaty together. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, Bree's been not
They were
feeling
actually-
super well, but she is loitering in the side chat.
Yes. We miss you.
Oh my. Yay. Make sure you're subscribed to everybody on this list. They're it's in a lot of places, but betterthanumber.com, creator tab. On the right side, there's a list of everybody on this panel, including Bree. Make sure you're subscribed to everybody because, you know, we're all pretty cool folks in our own ways. Yeah.
We're okay.
Was a nationalist.
George Washington
was a nationalist. So
George Washington was not a nationalist, not in the way it's conceptualized. I mean, he thought of himself as a British loyal soldier for most of his life.
Nationalism runs the whole political gamut from left to right. It depends on who that particular nationalist is. But the left very cunningly took fascism from the left-wing column and moved it into the right-wing column so that now you have the utterly bizarre phenomenon where somebody can go up to Benjamin Netanyahu and point their finger at him and call him a fascist or even a Nazi. Right. Without...
fascist.
I mean, if
damn
definition wearing a brown shirt with a funny mustache. Like, how dare you persecute the person? How dare you call this man whose nation exists because of the crimes of Hitler an ideological descendant of Hitler just because he's doing the same things as Hitler did? And for the same reason, kind of.
On that because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but yeah.
Ay. Randall Flagg makes an excellent point. The anti-vaxxers would have hated Washington, and that's true. One of the very first show I did with Maya was here on this channel, and it may be a members only thing at this point, I don't know, but it was on the origins of vaccine hesitancy, and that went all the way back to Washington's army. He forced his troops to get inoculated against smallpox, and the reason it was controversial was not because people were anti-vax per se, it's because it was African medicine. The Africans were ahead of the Europeans in inoculating against smallpox. And the whiteys did not like that. They were like, I'm not taking no black people medicine. And that was the start of vaccine hesitancy. It wasn't because of a problem with experts or people peddling their own vaccines, or it causes autism, or any of the bullshit they wrap it with today. It was just racism back in the day. And we've never gotten rid of that racist core.
The intellectual spade work of doing what I just described, that would be impossible. In fact, ludicrous. But because this project has been so successful of redefining fascism, that's the big lie.
It's so hilarious how he's doing the thing he's accusing other people of doing. It's not just projection, it's a straight up mirror reversal. Here I am lying about this thing, and as part of that lie, I'm telling you another lie about everyone else who's telling the truth, saying they're the real liars. Holy shit.
And just to show you animated with this specifically, not only is he sitting there and saying they're the ones lying, they're the ones doing it, he has my chosen profession as us speak. No, we're there to make sure that
That's fucking crazy sauce.
The-
But that's part of the big lie, is saying,
Yeah.
as Hitler himself put it, and Dinesh is practicing perfect Hitlerism in this one. The reason it's the big lie is because it's such a huge claim that no one can quite bring themselves to believe that someone would actually lie about that in public where other people can hear. Like, he must be telling the truth,
Yeah.
because no one would lie about that. And yet here he is.
I'm
lying
seriously
about that.
wondering, he's gonna drop a number on what he thinks, because I guarantee you it's gonna be wrong and it's gonna be off by millions. If he does.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, we're not getting all the way through this. We do have another video even that I'd like to at least get to part of. So yeah, he may have it in the video and we just won't get to that part. I don't know, but I will let him go a little bit longer.
are now able to do it with a straight face and get credible people, gullible people to believe them.
Little telling on himself there. Just lie with a straight face and get gullible people to believe him. Yes, that's literally what you're doing, Dinesh. Super. And who's this Riley Gaines looking person for Prager U here who's being gullible and just nodding along?
So people will respond to this and say, well, Dinesh, yes, it is true that there is horrible anti-Semitism on the left, but now we're starting to see horrible anti-Semitism on the right. And
is there...
all the leftists are horrible anti-Semites.
Yeah, all these damn leftist people hanging out with George Soros and
Nice.
all these Jewish descended people. Oh, the anti-Semitism. Oh, goodness.
We know all the
There is-
humanists hate humans.
Yes.
Clearly. Holy shit. And the thing of it is, we don't even hate these people. Like, it isn't hate, it's outrage at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
damage they're
Amen.
causing intentionally. But I don't want Dinesh and Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro rounded up and sent to death camps for what they've done. Maybe prison if that's what's determined just by the justice system when we have a working justice system again. But I don't want them rounded up. I don't want every conservative sent to a camp and gassed. I am keenly aware that they do want that done to me and people like me, but I don't want that for them. I just want them to not be able to send us to camps and be gassed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
horrible anti-Israel on the right. And so how do you explain the big lie, as in accuse the Jew of what you should actually be blamed for, which is what we're seeing in many, many cases, those who accuse the Jews of pedophilia or those who accuse the Jews of thievery or colonialization or whatever it is that they're accusing the Jews. Oftentimes it's actually what they themselves are doing. We are seeing.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Like whenever anybody, especially in politics, doubly true on the right, but when anybody is like, oh, this entire group of people is doing this horrible thing, check their browser history. Because it's never an entire group of people doing the horrible thing. That's just scapegoating. It's just whenever you say it's all the women or all the brown people or all the Jews, it is a distraction every single fucking time.
And it isn't anti-Israel, it's anti-genocide. Big difference.
I don't know. I just know when I grew up, the white people that I was around were mostly Jewish, and they were loving to me. I didn't know what racism was. I mean, I saw it on TV, but I didn't know what racism was in my own community, because that's what I was surrounded by, and they were mostly Jewish people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
I
know
know.
lots. I know
Yeah.
plenty of Jewish people that are like good friends. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't, definitely not like not being anti-Israel.
I didn't understand it,
Yeah.
This is new to me.
It's crazy sauce. It's fucking wild. But she is right. There is a lot of projection when the preacher gets on Sunday morning, stands up at the pulpit and is like, "Oh, these LGBTQ people, the things they're doing to the children," and then you
Yeah.
look at what his church has done to children. You
But
know, there's a
even
reason not a drag queen is a meme.
yeah, even in Israel, I was watching this video the other day. There was like a whole bunch of teenagers doing a protest because they were given draft papers and they didn't want to join the Israel military because they're against the genocide happening. So they were burning the papers. It's like, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
government. It's the government that's generally the problem, and those that support the government, which is not the entire country.
Yeah, and do remember that in the specific case of Israel, tangents, I know, people do come here for the tangents. That's why it's on a T-shirt of which is available now. But that's a whole other thing. That's a tangent on top of a tangent. I'm
Yay.
just throwing that out there. But the reason Israel is going so hard against Gaza, causing an actual genocide, is because Netanyahu doesn't want to lose power, and that's one of the key elements of fascism, is using military force to hold power and forcibly suppress your opposition. As long as they're in a war footing, they can't hold elections according to their own constitution.
Yeah.
This both on the left and on the right.
Yes, I do think, and this is something that has been very striking to me, is the way in which.
And speaking of striking, Fern Lovebond became an membership member at the match
Thank
level.
you.
Yay. It's all good, Fern. I mean, I myself I've had to pause my memberships on everywhere, much to my chagrin, because there's a lot of channels that I really, really want to support. But I have literally, YouTube is my sole source of income right now, which is one of the reasons I'm doing so many shows. But like, I cannot afford other to do membership. So I get it. Not everybody can afford it all the time. It happens. But thank you for joining, and do enjoy all the fun emojis, which members themselves voted on. So don't blame me for the emojis. It's the members' fault. I just run the show here. But if we do get enough members and it unlocks more emoji slots, then the members will get to vote on the new ones. So that's a good reason to maintain memberships. Plus, you get all the cool badges. Like Fern, I see, currently has a bonfire that evolves over time. It'll get bigger and bigger. And yeah, it's neat. So thank you. And I hope you enjoy.
Anti-Semitism, and this is different than, let's say, racism. The accusations against the Jews come from.
Oh, Mark is off too bad. Well, thank you for sticking around. I know it's stupid late. It's past midnight in Mark's side of the earth. So yeah, I appreciate you
Good night.
hanging with us. And
I wish I was
reminder,
with
Mark
you,
will
but
be
not-
over here Saturday evening Eastern time. We're doing our next debate review. We still haven't nailed down which debate yet, but Mark and probably a guest, and it'll be great. And I hope you join us, which is another good reason to make sure you're subscribed, because we do a lot of stuff on this channel, not just Hot Topic every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, but weekend stuff too. And my goodness, I'm doing 15 days straight of shows, because I've got every day this week, or no, 13 days straight. Whatever. It's a lot of days straight. This is how many days straight, because I'm losing track of how many days. I've got Hot Topic Monday through Friday. And since we're on the topic of Hot Topic, I will real quick pull up what shows are coming up. Because today, of course, Prager U. Tomorrow we have part 2 of the Adult Fun Time Prohibited list by request. Forbidden Stuff part 2. Wednesday, AI making people stupid. It'll be fun. And then Thursday, mental health stuff, how to take care of your brain in a late capitalist apocalypse kind of things. Friday, Feminist Friday, we're doing anti-woman women, specifically, but not exclusively, Phyllis Schlafly. That'll be fantastic. Saturday, the debate review isn't scheduled yet because we don't have the debate nailed down, but there will be the debate review Saturday evening. Sunday evening, I have a guest. It's been a minute, but I do have a guest. So we're doing an Atheist Lives. Damien Marie at Oak is going to join me. We're going to talk about. I came across a Catholic Answers type group who has like a licensed clinical psychologist or something who's saying, yeah, intersex people don't really exist. So since Damien is not just an atheist advocate, but is the only other openly intersex person I know of, I'm like, Damien, you got to come play with me. So Damien will be over. We're going to talk a little bit about him and what he does, but mostly we're going to demolish this Catholic bullshit, and that'll be fun. Then Monday morning, after Job and Jugs takes over on the Damn channel, we're back at it with a new hot topic. Monday's show will be Finding Eden. Tuesday's show will be The Real Jesus, the one real Jesus in all of history, which, fun fact, the very first actual slave ship, not a ship that just happened to be carrying slaves, but a ship designed for carrying slaves, was called Jesus. Fucking amazing. Wednesday, proof of God. Is there proof of God? We'll find out. It'll be fun. Thursday, a little bit lighter topic this time. We're going to talk about games. Girl gamers. It'll be fun. Friday, Feminist Friday again. I don't have a specific topic nailed down just yet, but there will be something feminist there. And there's more, so much more coming up. So do make sure you're subscribed. I put a lot of fucking work into this channel, and I hope you're enjoying it and that you'll join and be part of the community. And yay. Thank you for being here. And thank you for supporting in whatever ways you can, whether it's YouTube memberships or Patreon or super chats. Also, super thanks. If you're watching this video after the fact, you can still do a super thanks, and I will shout you out on the next show after I see it. However you can support, I appreciate it very, very much, because it is how I keep the lights on, how I pay my bills, how I afford food, all that sort of stuff. So also share. Do consider using the share button. Like, subscribe, share. Everyone says it, but nobody does it. The share is the single most powerful button on the YouTube. Yay! Because it gets it in front of people that wouldn't otherwise see these videos. So I appreciate that as well.
Actually, yeah, I actually posted a link to this main big server that I'm admin of on Discord. Whenever I'm on, so people listening in from there.
Yeah, I usually post the links that when I'm gonna be on Discord and on my Facebook page, which is where most people follow me.
Okay, Bree has demanded more polls, so I have put a poll in the live chat, and I will try to remember to check back before the end of the show. Oh, Bree says there should be a poll about Dinesh. See, I was already making the poll about polls, but I suppose I could do that. The
polls poll.
Yeah, I'll give it a second though, because there's people still actively voting in this one. So I asked, should there be more polls? And the options are duh, hell no, and what's in it for me.
I voted what's in it for me. Because
Me too.
What's in it for me?
That's fair.
That's what I did. What's in it for me? What I'm getting.
Oh. Bree says not about Dinesh's poll. That would be uncouth. We don't do uncouth around here.
Let's not even talk about that.
I want to end this poll and do the new one, but like every vote is shifting the landscape.
Oh yes, changing.
Oh shit.
Well, 50%. So 5 people are still what's in it for me.
Yeah, Carrie Ann asks, doesn't saving channels on your playlist also boost them to other viewers where you tread on YouTube? I don't know. I don't know any data about that. I know if somebody happens to watch that playlist and the video comes up in the playlist, then yeah, it gets one extra view from that. But I don't know if being added to a playlist impacts the algorithm. Maybe it does, but I don't have any data. It probably wouldn't hurt though. I can't imagine it would hurt. I'm probably silly. Okay, so that poll's been stable for a second, so I'll end it real quick so we can get another one in there. And the results came out. Should there be more polls? Only 8% said hell no, 38% said duh, and 54%, a clear majority, said what's in it for me. And you know, you folks are in the right place because Avast sees the means of production and such. All right, let's do a Dinesh poll. Is Dinesh a textbook fascist apologist? I spelled that wrong, but you get the idea. I can't spell. Of course. Liberal lies, and it depends on what the meaning of is. Oh, that shit. I need to shorten that up. It depends what the meaning of is. Stupid character limits. All right, we'll go with that. Why are there? We're putting like 4K videos for hours on YouTube, and they have storage for that, but they can't hold, more than 35 characters. And it's wild. It's wild. All right, we're moving along. So let's switch over to our final video because Dinesh, he does go on. He sure does. So let's see. Believe it or not, it gets worse.
Franklin Camargo with a new man on the street. Today we're at the California State Capitol in Sacramento, where parents have gathered to demonstrate for parental rights against government overreach.
Now, like we were talking about earlier, the Skrmetti decision was the U.S. Supreme Court decided that the state has the right to tell parents that they don't get a say in their kids' health care. But in California, it's the exact opposite position for the exact opposite reason. It's fucking wild.
Let's hear what they have to say.
I'm here to protect American citizens, and I'm also here to protect our youth who cannot protect themselves. They're minors. They're biologically not able to make decisions on their own. And some
biologically not able to make decisions. I mean, what's the criteria for that? That's like, it's a thing that people can say, but it sounds an awful lot like one of those thought-stopping cliches that cultists use, right? Like, what does it mean to be able to make a decision on your own? Because whatever criteria you come up with, it's almost definitely going to apply to conservatives. But you can't say that because then you're saying adult conservatives cannot make decisions on their own.
someone needs to speak up for them.
Who do you think knows best for your child? You or the government? Parents or politicians? Because this is a debate right now in America.
Obviously, the parents know best. They know the kids way more than the politicians, way more even than the teachers.
Parents, of course.
And this is such an interesting piece of propaganda because they're not saying what the specific issue that they're debating is. So you are free to insert your own thing. They will tell you later, but as of right here, right now in this video, you could be saying, should the parents get to dictate what happens to their children, or should the government have to mind their business and let parents and doctors decide what happens to children? It could apply equally to either thing.
Why?
Because they're our kids. Parents know exactly what our kids need, and the government needs to stay away from our life and our home.
The way.
Now, to be clear, I am not a fan of this argument. I understand its rhetorical value in fighting back against conservatives who say exactly the same thing. But the problem with parents having ultimate authority with no government oversight means abusive parents don't get stopped from being abusive. Like, you can't give parents a carte blanche because some parents are abusive, and there needs to be a mechanism to save a child from abusive parents.
Exactly.
The politicians are right now in this state. I think they're pretty unethical and pretty misguided. I mean, morally way off base.
Our government has taken control of our schools. Has taken control.
Plot twist. Would it surprise you to know that the schools are a function of the government. Like they've always had control. Like even before there was like a Department of Education, and I get that conservatives, being very anti-education, do not like the fact there is a Department of Education. They're not fans of our children have to be taught evolution instead of the bullshit in our book of mythology, that our children have to be taught that humans are biologically equal and not a certain skin color is better than another. I get that they hate that. They really don't like that. There's a reason why it's in law, though. But even in the old days of before Department of Educations, before unified school districts, just the one room schoolhouse that a village would put together on their own, there was still government involvement because it was a socialist effort, right? It was socialist programming. Everyone would pay a little bit, whether you had children or not, because having the facility to educate children made your village better for everyone in the village. It was government. It was a function of collective authority. It always has been.
Parents' rights. So I've been to rallies to try to protect our children.
Should any now you could oppose this from the other direction. You could also point out that parents already have the right to homeschool. If you don't like what the state is offering in public education, you could vote for better educator leaders, school board people, and so forth. Or you could just take your kids out of school and do it yourself. You can do that. I don't think that's a great alternative for a couple of reasons, because you get people raised on Michael Behe and Discovery Institute and that sort of bullshit. They end up ignorant and really set up for failure in life. But also, the abuse situation. A lot of homeschool kids are abused and no one ever knows because there's no teacher they could go tell.
Non-related adult be able to, have custody of your child without your consent, without your knowledge?
Well, that's called abduction. So without my consent, without my knowledge, is abducting my child. So
I don't think that means what she thinks that means. Now, maybe she has a specific case in mind and she's just outlining the criteria. Like, for example, you take your child to a hospital. You have the knowledge and you consent to your child being treated in the hospital. But if your child is moved from one room to another as part of that treatment, but it's without your knowledge, is that abduction? Like, we need to be a little clearer because we're in such a rush to have our over-the-top hyperbolic language. We're not actually saying what we think we're saying,
Yeah, I remember when I was in school, I went to Catholic school, and we had a couple of students when we did sex education classes that their kids were not allowed to take those classes. The parent outed them out of those classes. And we didn't even talk about nothing, which was weird to me for them to take them out. But they still didn't want their kid to know about sex education. And one of them got pregnant like at 16. Maybe if she would have had more acknowledgement, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But maybe, who knows? But yeah.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah. Me going to private school from 2nd to 10th and then the culture shock there to 12th in a public high school, I skipped my junior year. That has made me so anti-private school. Because in that one year, I had to do all of my science and English because I was just completely wrong, completely backward. Was at that point where it wasn't as, I mean, this is like 90, so it wasn't as quite readily available. Look up and find stuff. There was no Wikipedia then. So
yeah.
There was no YouTube. And so it was kind of hard to figure out And if you looked up anything on evolution, of course, creationist websites will pop up. All DI shit will pop up. It's just like, it's such... I got very... Can learn as fast as I did pretty much all of that before I went to college. I would have passed in college if I didn't. It was insane. They don't give kids the skills they actually need to succeed in anything higher than high school.
A lot of that's intentional, and it's there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing. We could
especially for girls.
Couple of notes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fern and Aunt Jur point out that your audio's cutting in and out a little bit, Lil. Some of it may be actual cuts that I'm just not catching for some reason, but some of it is also like just natural pauses that seem like cuts. I'm not saying you're not hearing what you're hearing, just there's differences in speaking style. But also, Aunt Jur, since you're here, I did find a control knob. Aunt Jur mentioned that the ads were coming a little bit heavy last night, and I don't like that because, it's bad for the channel. Like, even though ads are like the thing that pays theoretically, they don't really pay all that well. But like, if it's making the streams impossible for people to watch, then that's counterproductive. So I'm going to do another quick tutorial. I found the knob. So this is, again, backstage of the Creator Studio. And we go to, I don't know if it would work on the one that's currently live. So we'll do another one. One of the scheduled streams. And if you go to monetization, here on the navigation tab on the left, you can have your ads on or off. That doesn't actually change anything because there's going to be ads. YouTube will play ads whether you want them or not. But if you can do two things. You can let YouTube choose to insert mid-roll ads. And this is the knob I found. It was set to balanced, which was medium ads playing, but interrupted experience. You could do it more and theoretically make slightly more, but it's a much more interrupted experience. Or you can set it to conservative, which is fewer ads. It's also, you can technically set it to manual. You can insert mid-roll ads manually. But the thing of it is, if you don't trigger them manually every so often, YouTube will still insert them. So right now, I've just got everything set to the lowest setting. It's practical. If I get my timing down better, I will figure out how to manually insert them and make them be at the most minimal level. But for the time being, it's set to minimum on auto. And that's where you can find that, any of you creators out there who want to similarly tune the knobs for what your ads do. I'm not saying everybody has to set them to minimum. I'm just saying that's how you do that. What do you want to set them at? There it is. Oh, goodness. So all of that is to say, hopefully it's a better experience today than the swarm of ads last night or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So a comment on this that we were talking about earlier when you mentioned that mostly school for higher education for women. I remember seeing a video by, of course, Charlie Kirk speaking at a university, and he was telling students. He pointed out, he was like, women can come to school, but like, you don't really need to learn. You don't come here to learn. It's okay if you come here to find a husband. Like, that's all women go to school for. Spend thousands of dollars on books, tuition, housing, just to find a husband. Okay, then.
I mean, sometimes that has been done. Some people have chosen to do that. Some schools were specifically for that. Like, they would teach you how to sew and cook and have good posture. I really need that school because my posture is fucking awful. But I digress.
Same. I'm over
but
here.
whatever you manage to learn in the time you're there, great. But the actual purpose is to make yourself available for courtship by men at the college across the street or whatever. So you would catch a college man husband or some shit like that. Like, that was the actual goal. But whatever. Oh, goodness. Andrew says, I miss out on half of what she says, so it's hard to understand what her point is. Yeah, I get that. But Lil, that didn't mean you had to leave.
Oh,
my goodness. It's the internet is a rough place. Bree says Charlie's wife has 3 degrees.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, which ones? I was curious.
Oh, no. Oh, it's called an MRS degree. Oh, no. But yeah, kind of. It's just,
Finishing
Sue
schools
points
aren't
out, finishing
schools.
schools aren't schools. It's true.
So that is not acceptable. That is uncalled for. That's actually human trafficking. It's child trafficking.
Oh, it's human trafficking. Education is human trafficking, folks. How dare we educate our children? It's the same as Epstein's Island in every way imaginable. Holy shit, these people.
The Epstein University, I guess.
Fucking wild. But again,
Really?
you know, this is Prager U, right? Like they did Brown versus Board of Education, looking completely respectable. They platformed Conspiracy Man to lie about obvious checkable facts, and now they're doing what looks like a news reporter man on the street interview with perfectly sensible people. It's every bit of it is propaganda and deception for a political purpose. It isn't just like some channel that like everybody can post videos to. There are people in charge of this channel making editorial decisions about what to air, what to not, why to fund the production of a certain video. All of it is done with intention, and there is a lot of fucking money behind it. Everything you see is there for a purpose. Some of the signs are blurred out and some of them are not. Why might that be? Why is it an immigrant specifically, a person with an accent who's holding the microphone and appearing on camera to talk to these nice white people? Why are these decisions being made? Every bit of it is intentional propaganda. And never fucking forget it.
Excuse is that they are doing it to protect the children of immigrants. As an immigrant, what would you respond to that?
The children of immigrants are very susceptible to be sequestered even by pedophiles because we as immigrants, they think that we don't know nothing. But we need to be educated on what's going on.
We need to educate people, but we need to not send them to schools where they might get educated. What do you propose then, ma'am?
Our country here. We are to defend our children no matter what. We are the parents and we are the only ones that have the right to teach them what is good for them and what is harming them.
It seems like the state, government, federal, they're constantly trying to take our kids away. They're constantly trying to take the consent away from parents and raise our children for us. It seems the government has turned against the people.
No longer believe.
I mean, you know, if maybe you stop abusing your children, they'll stop trying to take your children away. Perhaps. Just a helpful hint, maybe.
Believe in the Constitution. They no longer believe in Judeo-Christian values. So they have a Marxist bent, and that colors their thinking in a lot of areas. You know, parents are supposed to take care of their kids. They're responsible for the morality of their children. You know, it's not the state's job to do that.
And that's why I used to be a Democrat, and I switched over to become a Republican and more.
I used to be a Democrat. I used to be an atheist, and she's got the Jesus jersey on. I love it. What does it say on his microphone? I can't quite make it out. Let me see if I can make it. Oh shit, that's as big as I can make it on my screen.
Jesus.
Main Street, I think it says on the yellow side that's facing us. I don't know. It's probably not important.
Okay.
But like all these parents, like they're all here, none of them with their children. They're all on their phones, like dude in the background on the phone, mom in the background on the phone, mom on the ground on the phone, random hand sticking into frame, holding a fucking phone. Holy crap. Everyone is neglecting their children, and they're worried about, the schools that pay attention to children. Fucking hell. As Anarchic Fox says, say it with me, folks, kids are not property.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Holy shit. I mean, according to the Bible, they are, but then so are women.
Yes,
There's a lot of women here.
I've been a property all my life.
I know. I kind of want a T-shirt that says, "If you think I am property, stay the fuck away from me," or something. I need to make it shorter and snappier, but something along those lines. Holy crap.
When I had kids, to just become more conservative because I felt that they were trying to take over for our children.
And we know best what's best for our children. We should be able to make that decision and not have it taken away from us.
Teachers are teaching.
How do you know? Again, the ultimate tool for dealing with lies, con men, apologists, pseudoscience, as I have said elsewhere and will continue to say, one tool for all of it: skepticism. You don't have to know everything about genetics. You don't have to know everything about evolutionary biology or astrophysics or anything else. All you have to do is be willing to look these people who are bald-faced lying to your face, look them in the eye and say, how do you know? That's it. That's the only tool you actually need. The more you know, wonderful, fantastic. Never stop learning. It's always useful. It's always beneficial. But don't be afraid to stand up to people who are spreading their bullshit all over the place, because all you have to do is ask them, how do you know? That's skepticism. That's the core of critical thinking. Because when somebody says, we know best, how do you know that you know best? How do you know that you specifically know better than this army of educators who have decades of experience in teaching children, educating children, showing them how to learn, and knowing what things they need to learn to be successful in our current world? How does what you learned in the 1970s and 80s translate into what kids need to know today? How the fuck do you know that you know best?
No, because you did not study the subject at hand. And the teacher has went to college, got degrees, most of the time a graduate degree. I don't understand that. Like, okay, I don't understand at the point of some of these parents, because I'm looking at Trump and how he's doing things, and he's trying to get rid of the immigrants. So that means that the migrant farmers no longer going to be a thing. So if these people are getting educated, what jobs are going to be available for them to do besides fast food or being migrant farmers themselves? Because what can they do? They have no skills if they don't go to school and learn. I might be wrong thinking that.
Sort of the point is, as much as they talk about the state trying to take over, if you don't teach kids, then they end up dependent on the state. And that's the point. Control.
Yeah, they can more easily oppress them.
Yeah, it's always control. Well, we are just about out of show, folks. As always, I'm going to run the credits, saying thank you to our top level supporters and patrons, because they help me keep the lights on and keep the show going. Once again, I am just about to record the credits for September that'll play through October. So if you want to make sure you're on the credits, either make sure your membership is at the Cinder level, which is the top level of membership here on YouTube, or be a supporter over on patreon.com/betterthenumber, link down below. If you can't, I understand. Like I said, I'm very poor and I had to pause all my memberships. I get it. But however you support, even if it's just by watching, sharing, subscribing, all of those things, I very much appreciate it. Thank all of you folks for helping to build a community that gives a fuck about people. It means a lot to me. As always, thanks AJ and Kelly for joining. Remember, their links are on betterthenumber.com under the cast and crew page on the right side of the creators link, and also in the description of the Job and Jugs videos. And there's so many people to thank. I appreciate all y'all. And also Garfield, apparently. Yay. All right, we're at time. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow to learn more about Forbidden Adult Fun Time, which means
Dang,
we'll
I want to be
probably
on that one too.
use this
Bye,
a
everyone.
bit. Toodles. Thanks to the top-level members and Patreon supporters for August. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Kalasia, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, The Mighty Filbert, Hunter Biden's Laptops, Larkwright, Greg S., Neurogeezer, Mage Greywolf, Farhan Salas, Poor Claire, BTF Wayne, Cosmic Kyle, Bomb Poppy, RDZ, Billy Bongsalot, Marty Cameo, My Unfinished Sock, Austin Sims, Tinker Phil, Anarchic Fox, Sabrina Page, Leslie Hutchings, Gazela Mail, Evil Toe, Right-Handed Sith, Luke, D. Murphy, Jesse, Uncle Charlie, Ryan Cultastic, Kurisu Yamato, Scott Duke, Michael Bell, Sumami, Citizen 9, S. Cook, James Nordoff, Hecklek, Velvet, KCA Randy, B.S. Lewis, Tori Swansiger, Whimsy, Kristen Slays, Godless Engineer, Fern Lovebond, Hillhugger, Karen Butcher, Milwaukee Atheists, Booba Sweat, Maya Adkisson, My Unfinished Studio, Ian Chen Official, Introvert Ancom, Tilting Windmill, Christopher Tablante, Robin Webster, Proby666, Jason T, Action Squad, Robert Madewell, Doc Don Hogg, Jester, Sydney Raptor, Stardust Lilith, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here, Nelson, Supercritical Snake, Eli Slack, Geo Sam, Kalasia789, L Trucker, You Are Victoria, Polly Has His Cracker, Roman Weber, Leo Filius, Nikki Paré, Jasper, Yahooligan, and Pinworm. Thank you all so much. I feel energized and grateful that you're part of this community. Thank you.
Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.